I'm Alex Hanovich, and welcome to the first ever Raven's Bread webcast. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Bert Haynes. Now, Bert is special not only because he's the first guest ever, but also because he's the very person who proposed the idea of doing Raven's Bread. Now, in addition to that, Bert Haynes is the band director at Gordon Lee High School and the choir director at Lake Drive Baptist Church. He's also the father of 2 boys and the husband of Sheila Haynes. So, Bert, in addition to all that, tonight I want to talk to you about worship. Now, we have worship songs, we have worship services, we have books and Bible studies about worship. How would you define worship?
I think worship is something personal. I think it can be presented in different ways from person to person, but I think that worship is all about, someone once told me, knowing who you are in relationship to who God is, and I think that that's when true worship occurs, is when you see God for who He really is, and it's sort of the awe or amazement that comes from that.
Okay, that leads directly into the next question. What sort of things do you think has to happen internally in someone for there to be an external display of worship?
Well, I know for me, if I've not been living close to God, if we have not been having a very close relationship because of sin in my life or just not spending enough time in His Word, then worship doesn't really seem possible because I've not recognized who He really is. I've not taken the Bible for what it says, and I've not taken His Word for what it says. So I think that in order for someone to really be worshipful, they have to have a correct view of God. They have to be living according to His Word and His principles.
Okay. And finally, I think we've all experienced at some point when worship feels stale or dead or lifeless. What do you think causes that?
I think a lot of times it could be just monotony. We get into a lot of habits. This song goes here at this time, and we do it the same way because we've always done it that way. But that goes into a lot of our Christian traditions and heritage. So I don't think that's always necessarily wrong. I just think that sometimes we live in a world where you can turn on the TV and see something truly amazing or something that's very entertaining, and we sort of want to come to church and be entertained. So if it's not, a 4-star type presentation, then a lot of times I think people just sort of overlook it. But I think also that you have to be careful not to say that everybody has to worship the same way. Because I know for me, the moments that I'm truly most worshipful is usually when I close my eyes and I block out everything else, and for me, it's not about raising my hands or saying anything out loud, but it's more of the attitude of my heart. And someone else may never notice that. But then I know a lot of people who are very vocal and say amen and raise their hands and do things like that. So I think it just depends on the person. So.
Okay, excellent answer. Thank you, Bert, for answering these questions, for being on the first ever Raven's Bread webcast, and watch for a new Raven's Bread webcast every Saturday. Thanks.